Now to the latest significant development in the 2024 presidential race. Donald Trump has been barred from the ballot in the state of Maine for his actions surrounding January 6th. Colorado's Supreme Court also banned the former president last week. Other states have rejected efforts to take Trump off the ballot, including California just last night.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, the Trump movie is about to get turned up. First we had Colorado banning him off the ballot, now it's Maine. And we know before this he had an easy landslide to a win, because the American people are fed up. But we know that Trump is paid and bought for by the banks. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now guys, we have Elizabeth Warren also playing the Hegelian dialectic. Crypto is for criminals. But we know the banks are the biggest what? I'll let you finish that. Remember, all this, guys, is for the fourth industrial revolution, where they want the robots, algorithms, and drones to take over the economy. And we saw Kathy Woods get rid of all of Grayscale shares. Why? Because she knows that Grayscale is about to be turned over to a spot Bitcoin ETF. And then plus she's going to get approval for a spot Bitcoin ETF. So of course she wants to be invested in her own product. And ProShares is a futures product. That's the reason why she's taking that money and putting it into Bitcoin futures. Now, if we have the SEC approve the spot Bitcoin ETF, the big beneficiary that's been sitting in the back nice and quiet is Coinbase. Remember, guys, they're going to be handling custody. So it doesn't matter whether the price goes up or goes down, they're going to benefit. And that's the same thing when it goes to all the NWO investments. Whether it goes up or down, they get paid. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Elizabeth Warren has misled the American people as well as the U.S. Congress on multiple fronts. First, she's misled us to believe that crypto has an AML problem. It does not have an AML problem. The vast majority of illicit finance goes through the traditional financial system and legacy banking infrastructure. It's not happening in the cryptocurrency space. And the reason being is because every single crypto transaction is logged on a public ledger called the blockchain, and law enforcement has greater tools to track and trace on a blockchain than they do on legacy infrastructure. So that's misleading claim number one from Senator Warren. Number two is about her bill. This bill was introduced under the guise of anti-money laundering to fix these non-existent compliance gaps for crypto. She has misled the U.S. Senate, and now 20% of the U.S. Senate is sponsoring this bill that they think is going to address a compliance issue. But if you read the legislation, you'll quickly understand that the requirements are technically impossible to implement in a blockchain-based environment, making it illegal for U.S. persons to use this technology, which effectively bans it for U.S. persons. This would be absolutely detrimental to our space. The false and misleading statements that have been perpetuated by a sitting member of the U.S. Senate, Elizabeth Warren, must be taken seriously, and the Senate Ethics Committee should launch a full investigation on this as well.
What is the risk of the industry being wrong?
There's always a risk, Sonali. That's the reality. But if we look at some indicators, one great indicator, GBTC, the Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust, it is the largest in terms of AUM of the Bitcoin trusts listed in the U.S. today, has been trading at a discount historically. That discount has really started to converge in the last few weeks and close. That's one important indicator. The second important indicator, prediction markets. How are people pricing? We see 90% certainty on approval. And then the last piece is, the SEC is a government agency. They have to share records of who they're meeting with, what they're doing. In the last few weeks, there's been a lot of meetings, even over the holidays, meetings of SEC staffers with some of the proposed issuers, including BlackRock, Van Eck, and others, to discuss specifics of these S1s, of these applications that have been filed. So on all counts, it looks like all the small technical issues that have emerged over the last few months are starting to be discussed, resolved. So all of those things, in my view, are leading to a lot of optimism.
Bitcoin moving lower today. Kathy Wood's ARK Next Generation Internet ETF selling its more than 2 million shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, but buying more than 4 million shares of the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF.
Interesting. Heading into January 10th, which is the deadline, at least for ARK's application with 21 shares. So the SEC by then needs to either reject or approve it. I spoke with Kathy Wood just a couple days ago for Crypto World about this, because that actually was the remainder of the GBTC shares in that fund, and she has been offloading for several weeks. So she told me, she was pretty plain about this. She said this is plain portfolio management. The price of Bitcoin has been rising, and we do always take profits. However, as you sort of alluded to, it is interesting, should she get the approval, and it is very likely that if one issuer gets approval, several will also get approval. So that would make GBTC a competitor. And I, would expect that should these issuers get approval, that ARK's Bitcoin ETF would become the main Bitcoin vehicle for her other funds as well.
Assuming it happens.
Yeah, there is entirely the possibility that there could be an ETF rejection, although it is, I think broad consensus is that is not likely. The Bitcoin ETF is a big thing. Things have really intensified. You said Bitcoin up 150 this year. It's up 57% just over the last 6 months, which is sort of the start when BlackRock came out and said, we want to do this Bitcoin ETF. And things have just been building and building from there, up 11% just for the month. It is the whole second half of the year really has been about the ETF story. It is expected to be the biggest catalyst next year, and that's just the start of it, because just a couple of months later, we're going to have the Bitcoin halving, which historically drives big gains, and then we're also watching the rate environment, expecting to maybe see some cuts next year. We know that rate hikes have been hurtful to Bitcoin over the last couple of years. So the setup is really strong. There are some concerns, though. It is feeling a little overheated. CryptoQuant has data out today showing that the market is a little bit overheated. They think it is possible that Bitcoin could correct to about 32,000, which is the short-term holders' realized gain. The price has just been climbing and climbing. So all of these investors, short-term investors and miners, are sitting on these unrealized profits. And, I think though, also, it should be pointed out that even if there is a short-term pullback, most investors agree that does not really take away from the bull case, which is that if there is an ETF next year, it is going to invite in all of these institutional investors that were curious but have been sitting on the sidelines.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, if new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance, do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Bank, New York. From COVID 33, Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.